Hello, this is OC Skywatch. It is the 1st of December 2015, around 12:20 a.m. And, well, as you can see, I finally got 1080p working on this system after a few hardware upgrades. And I'm also using the Open Broadcaster software because it has a smaller file size. Had to install C++ redistributable 2013, both 32 and 64-bit, and use the DirectX web installer. I actually was able to upgrade the CPU to a Xeon E3 1231 V3. I also put in a GTX 560 non-TI from my other rig. I have decent enough system specifications to run the full 1080p. I also changed the monitor out. I was using this monitor as a firewall terminal. It was designed for a resolution of 1600 by 900, but it works with 1080p, which is kind of weird, so yeah. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. We have some stuff to cover here. Okay, this is November 29th, 6 to 9:30 Zulu. What you see here is there's a low pressure right off the west coast, and well, there's a low pressure here as well off the coast of Southern California. Unfortunately, though, this is pretty much the last frame you're going to see it because they're pressing a bunch of dry air down here, and these clouds associated with it are diminishing. By the way, I forgot to mention that I also traded the mic. That's if you're wondering why my voice sounds a little different. There's a system out by the Aleutian Islands again. Unfortunately, though, this thing's going to be blown apart. Okay, this is long wave. Well, what you see right here is low pressure here, low pressure here, low pressure off the Southern California coast. Unfortunately, though, what you see is three concentric rings expanding outward. Let's go slow this down really quick. I mean, seriously, it looks very, very bizarre. Mother Nature wouldn't do this. In fact, Mother Nature wants this thing to curl up into nice, strong, low pressure and bring us some rain. The oceans are pretty warm right now. The temperature in this region right here is around 63 degrees, so that's plenty enough for low pressure to continue to strengthen. We have this super El Nino, probably one of the biggest ones on record, but yet we're not seeing the rain like we should. El Nino should have started beginning of November. We did have a little bit of stuff, but it wasn't as you would expect. The energy wasn't there. It was just giant dips in the jet stream, plus drier rain suppression, etc. Not good. Okay, this low pressure right here is going to, well, the front's going to impact the northern part of the state. Unfortunately, though, there's going to be some aerosol spray in there, and let me tell you something, the core's not going to even reach the northwest because there's a blockade. This area is high pressure here. See the clockwise flow, and that'll prevent the thing from going in. Down here, we have an open area, and we have some aerosols. Okay, near the Aleutian Islands, we have this big old storm, but unfortunately, though, they're spraying into the north side of it, and, well, over time, this thing will be completely gone. Okay, this is a few hours later, November 29th, 8:30 to 12 Zulu, and this low pressure off of Southern California is pretty much no more. See that air pocket here again? That's what happens to a lot of storms. You get a bunch of dry air and it just brings no rain. It's quite sad. Some aerosols down here near Baja, of course. Very, very weird looking. They're likely migrating Mexico's moisture into the central and eastern U.S., and as a consequence, that's going to give Mexico some drought. It's not good. Okay, this low pressure off of the northwest coast is, well, starting to take a little bit more northerly turn. It's trying to get itself together, but unfortunately, though, it's not going to be able to do much because there's a lot of dry air near the core and there's a lot of aerosols being laid into this front. Let me go and slow that down. That's no good. There's very, very limited rotation in the center. Just the formation here looks a little bit funny. Okay, this is long wave, same time. You can notice the attack right off of our coast again. This time it's more clear. See, there's like 3 rings right there, and they tend to be going a little bit more towards clockwise. There were some clouds in the area, but unfortunately, though, not even a single drop fell down. That's very typical. I know Isla Guadalupe and the San Nicolas Island are within the vicinity, so they could easily do this even during the nighttime. Deal air is not there. That's why it can only go like 300, 400 miles. Okay, let's slow this down. See these things rapidly expanding outward. There's also an opening just west and northwest of these rings. It's very, very unusual. Okay, this is the 850 millibar relative humidity map. This is November 29th, 12 Zulu. Well, there's a little bit of moisture off our coast. It's not much. Hey, there's even a little dry pocket right where my mouse is. It's very, very tiny. Some moisture over here. Surrounding somewhat dry air. And off the coast of the northwest, the air seems very, very dry at this level. Okay, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. There's quite a bit of moisture here at this level off the coast of Southern California. Off the coast of northern part of California and northwest, ton of dry air. There's even a bunch of dry air in the interior of Southern California. It's extremely dry. Humidity's less than 10% from what I see in some places. See all this dry air just west of this plume of moisture here. Okay, this is 500 millibars. A lot of dry air at this level, 18,000 feet. Extremely, extremely dry here off our coast. And on top of the northwest and off the coast of the northwest. It's very, very dry. There's even a little curvature here, which is quite interesting. It's almost in the exact location as the downburst of dry air. Okay, this is 300 millibars. There's a lot of dry air in the west, especially down here in Southern California. Like, holy cow, dry. Moisture up here, but it's not a lot. Interesting. There's actually some dry air expounding off the coast, showing up in the water vapor map. That does explain a lot of what you're seeing in the relative humidity maps. Anyways, though, vertical velocity, there's some descending air here off the coast of Southern California and Baja. There also appears to be some descending air on top of Northern California. Off the coast, the shape's a bit weird. That's probably the area of impact where they're pressing dry air. See some near San Francisco. Okay, this is the 300 millibar, 30,000 feet height analysis. Just going to be showing this low pressure trying to go into Southern California, but it's ultimately smashed. This is November 28th, 0 Zulu, or November 27th, 13 Zulu. Not sure which one is accurate. Yeah, you can see that thing's low. Okay, step forward 12 hours. It's there. And bam, November 29th, 0 Zulu. Thing pretty much lost its low pressure status. There's still a little thing here, but it's just very minor. And then November 29th, 12 Zulu, it's gone. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet height analysis. Okay, this is low pressure here. Well, surprisingly, the pressure seems to be deepening a bit. But November 29th, 0 Zulu, it isn't marked anymore. Very weird. There's still a little trough, but it ain't much. And 12 hours later, it's pretty much gone. Like, what happened? Sure, there's some clouds, but it's very minor. November 30th, 0 Zulu is gone. Okay, this is sea surface analysis, November 28th, 0 Zulu, or November 27th, 13 Zulu. This thing's marked as a low, and it appears to be weakening a bit, and it strengthens. Then it's gone. November 29th, 12 Zulu. Okay, let's get that. There we go. This is November 29th, 1930 to 23 Zulu. Well, this thing is still trying to get itself together. There are some aerosols being laid in this front. There's some rain that actually fell here, but again, it's not what you would expect for this time of year. And with the Super El Nino, it's really not what you would expect. You would expect an extremely energetic front, but yet you're not seeing that. That's very interesting. Towards the core, there's like two low pressure swirls. It's trying to turn into one, get itself together, but unfortunately, it will never happen. Okay, this low pressure near the Aleutian Islands is still here, but in the next few frames it's going to be crushed. They're actually spraying up here quite heavily from what I see, and that's just going to feed in and help weaken this thing. Okay, this is visible, and what you see off the west coast is, well, kind of like a weird barrier here. Way up here, all the way down off the coast of Baja. Very bizarre formations. There's a clockwise flow right here where my mouse is, just a little bit northwest of this island. It's very weird. Anyways, though, very, very bizarre activity. Seems to be dry air being pressed down right in this location. That's very, very obvious. And that's off the coast of Central California. See the disappearing clouds, and then there's clockwise rotation. That's another dead giveaway of man-made weather control operation. Okay, let's slow this down. This low pressure here looks a little bit funny. Again, it's trying to organize itself, but the next frame or so it's going to be gone, along with one near the Aleutian Islands. That's interesting. Almost looks like a clockwise rotation. Let me me zoom out and zoom in again. I didn't catch that before. These are the relative humidity maps for November 30th, 00. This is 850 millibars here, and well, you can see that there's a ridiculous amount of dry air off of the coast of California, pretty much all along the state. Very interesting curvature here. Anyways, though, a lot of dry air around California. Okay, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. Look out off the coast of Southern California. Looks semicircular. Very weird. Look at this tongue of dry air extending through the state. That's kind of interesting. Okay, 500 millibar, 18,000 feet. Huge, huge amount of dry air on top of California and some off the coast as well. That's ridiculous. Again, there's a little bit of a semicircular shape here off the coast of Southern California. Okay, this is 300 millibars, 30,000 feet, and well, there's a lot of moisture up in this thing, and that's where the aerosol spraying is going on. It's like completely different at this level. So basically this front is pretty much being starved of moisture, and that's very typical of what they do. There's a plume of dry air off the coast of Southern California. It extends way out here, but still though, what a difference. Okay, this is 500 millibar vertical velocity map. Harproport says these things are junk, but I'm just gonna show them anyway. There appears to be some descending air off of the Southern California coast, and well, it looks pretty accurate, but up here it's, I don't know what to think. I mean, the shapes are a little bit strange. Okay, this is the sea surface pressure analysis. There's definitely a high indicated here in the ISO bars, and a very strange area off the coast of Central California. There appears to be dry air being pressed down along here, and you see an opening in the clouds. There's a low indicated near the Aleutian Islands, but it's going to be blown apart soon. It's 976 millibars, pretty strong, low pressure. This is the 500 millibar height analysis. There's not a whole lot of very obscured lines at this level. There appears to be some high pressure off the coast of Central California. It's low indicated here, pretty strong. Low here. But I'm telling you though, these two lows are going to be blown apart next animation. Okay, this is 300 millibar height analysis. No low here indicated. Low here indicated. Seems to be a little spike of high pressure here, but nothing too weird off the Southern California coast. So yeah, layers are impacted in different ways. Okay, this is November 30th, 9:30 to 13 Zulu, and well, what you can see is this low pressure right here off the northwest coast, along with this low pressure near the Aleutian Islands, are both falling apart. They look very, very disorganized. I could hear that hum on the CPU, but it's not that bad. Anyways, though, very, very bizarre stuff happening with both this thing and this thing. See, Mother Nature desperately wants low pressure here. Unfortunately, though, these weather terrorists are blocking her attempts to create the low pressure, and that's why we have drought on the west coast. It's extending, well, way down into Mexico, all the way up into Canada. Let me actually show the drought map. Okay, here's the map. Let me let it load. The server's kind of slow. Okay, right now, this is from October 31st, 2015. You can see that there's, well, a lot of drought. There's drought in areas in Canada extending down into Mexico, but here in California, we're pretty much ground zero. We're in exceptional drought most of the state. Sure, this is about a month old, but still get the big picture here. Look at the contrast between the west and the east. It's quite big. Here's the latest California drought map. Over 70% of the state is in D3, D4 range, extreme and exceptional drought. Okay, this is November 30th going into December 1st, 2132, 1 Zulu, and, well, so much for these systems right here. These things have pretty much combined all into a giant mess. That's horrible. Even seems to be a little bit of clockwise right here in the Gulf of Alaska. Very interesting. There's still quite a bit of aerosol spray around. That's what they do. They want to try to keep the air stable so low pressures do not form or strengthen. Even if one low pressure does pop up, it's just going to get smashed. I've seen this time and time again. We have such a horrible drought. It's because they're not allowing this weather to come into the west coast. Okay, let's unzoom and then zoom in a little bit. They're finally releasing the jet stream here, but unfortunately though, there's a lot of aerosols in here just to prevent low pressure here from forming, because this thing could easily turn into a low pressure. And look at these lines here just appear out of nowhere. Okay, let's slow this down. See dry air being pressed down right here. That's not going to help us any. That's another attempt to block low pressure systems from forming, because low pressure systems cannot happen when there is descending dry air or high pressure. It's just not physically possible. These dry air things also are used to crush storms, pre-existing storms. Okay, this is visible and you can see this giant mess out in the Pacific. Stuff isn't looking good at all. These clouds here seem to be going more towards clockwise. This thing's really trying to become a powerful low pressure, but yet it's being blocked. There's actually multiple swirls here in this thing, and there's lines appearing out of nowhere. These aerosols are going to help keep this thing at bay. Even if one does develop, they're going to crush it with dry air. Off the coast of California, there looks to be a bunch of dry air being pressed down. See near Eureka, there's actually some stuff going clockwise, and there's a few rings associated with it. Okay, let's slow this down. Very, very odd. People are waking up to this, so they have to be a little bit more covert. So they just do a lot of stuff off the coast or in not very densely populated areas. Anyways, though, very, very odd activity. Off the coast of Southern California isn't much better. There's some odd areas of clearing. There seems to be clouds expanding outward. That's typical of a downburst of dry air, and over here seems a bit circular as well. Nice job photoshopping it. Okay, let's slow stuff down here. Very odd. Okay, this is 850 millibars relative humidity map. December 1st, 0 Zulu, and well, you can see a ton of dry air off the coast of Southern California. That's very obvious. There's also a lot of dry air in the valley. A lot of moist air here, though. And over here's a little bit drier off the coast. Very interesting tongue here. It's a bit drier than the surrounding area. Okay, this is 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. A lot of dry air off the coast of California, all the way down the state. It's very weird, especially right off the coast of Northern California and Southern California. That's almost exactly where you see the clouds disappearing. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. Ton of dry air off the coast of California. It's even heading inland a bit. Off the coast of Southern California, still a bit dry. The air gets drier though as you head west. Okay, 300 millibar, quite a bit of moisture. Dry air tongue off the coast of Southern California and Baja. Very typical. This is a sea level pressure analysis for November 1st, 0 Zulu. Indication of high pressure in Southern California. Also right here is kind of weird. And over here off the coast of Northern California is a bit strange. Still see a little something trying to develop near the Aleutian Islands, but I don't think it's going to do much. Okay, this is 500 millibar, 18,000 feet. There's a low indicated, but it's weak. Off the California coast, the isobars indicate high pressure here. Also, Southern California, you don't have these weird pressure things jumping around. It's very, very interesting. Again, different layers are affected in different ways. A little bit of waviness. Okay, 300 millibar. A little wiggle here, but there's not much weird activity for California. Right here looks to be a little trough of low pressure. I'm sure this thing's going to be blocked in the future by a bunch of aerosols and junk. This thing right here near the Aleutian Islands is marked as a low, but it's probably not going to be able to do anything because they already destroyed a few things trying to form. Okay, let's refresh this. This is the most current map. December 1st, 5:30 to 9 Zulu, and there's a bunch of aerosols off the west coast. That ain't no good. This thing right here will probably be destroyed. I hope I'm wrong, though. Wow, there's a lot of dry air down to the south. I didn't even notice that. It looks to be expanding. Look at all these aerosols off the coast here, and it extends into Mexico and then Texas. I feel sorry for them. Anyways, though, thing in the Gulf of Alaska looks horrible, and there's aerosols
continuing to be laying down here. And they don't want this thing to turn into a massive low pressure. Just look how many swirls there are. It's a very, very confused mess. Okay, this is shortwave. What you see up here is more disorganization. Of course, this huge mass is trying to turn into a giant low pressure off the California coast. There is some moisture, but there's some aerosols as well, so likely won't do much. Off of San Francisco looks to be a typical dry air downburst. See the clouds disappearing, then expanding outward. This thing's going clockwise. This thing right here is trying to go counterclockwise. We're going to have to keep an eye on this system, see what they do. But I really don't expect it to bring much rain in California. Okay, let's slow this down. Ton of aerosols down to the south, of course, and very, very open area. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and please share. We must continue watching these maps.